Just down from the cathedral by the River Calder is a stunning new art gallery, the Hepworth Wakefield. The gallery has been an extraordinary success story, drawing visitors from all over the world, generating millions of pounds for the local economy and putting Wakefield on the map. The Hepworth Gallery takes its name from Dame Barbara Hepworth. Born in Wakefield in 1903, she went on to become one of the most influential artists of the 20th century, and much of her work has a spiritual element.
I really think all good works are an act of praise, and they are essentially religious throughout the history of man, from the cave drawings.
One of the gallery's biggest supporters has been Stephen Platten, the Bishop of Wakefield.
One of the things I'd say about regeneration here in Wakefield is that we've desperately needed it. The coal industry, the woolen industry have died, and so economic and social regeneration have been crucial. But those on their own aren't sufficient. There's a sense in which you need spiritual regeneration, in a purely religious way, in the background of Christianity, but it can also mean more than that, in a way that, okay, it's always important to have enough money in your pay packet, but there's a stage beyond that, where somehow our hearts need to be taken and lifted up.
If you look at a piece like the crucifixion, which we have here, though, you might not identify it as anything to do with the crucifixion.
You might not, although, of course, if you look at it, there's an obvious cruciform structure to it. And one of the things she herself said about it was she wanted something that somehow represented what crucifixion was, but also something that you could almost walk into.
But I very much wanted to make a crucifixion which enabled one to recognize the figure of Christ on the cross and the rudimentary forms, and to bring one, as it were, to one's knees.
So in a way, this captures in a modern context that sense of Christ's suffering happening through very ordinary objects. Well, I think looking at the view behind me now, where you actually see the cathedral framed by the crucifixion by Hepworth, is really rather a marvellous characterization of what that might be about.
She was born here in Wakefield. She was baptized in the cathedral. Did she draw her inspiration for her work from
Oh,
here?
Unquestionably, in two rather different ways. I mean, first of all, because of the Yorkshire landscape. Even around here, where people, I suppose, think much more of mills and mines, actually, of course, there's marvellous countryside, outcrops of rock, and so all of that will have helped her in her artistic inspiration.
Created in Yorkshire is a cooperative set up by Lynn Thompson. Members work at home to produce a range of crafts, and then they share duties to ensure that the shop is staffed and organised. At a time when many high streets are struggling, Lynn is confident that an enterprising spirit and plenty of hard graft can bring colour and inspiration to the city.
I just love it. I just love the shop. I love, the fact that we're sort of bringing something that's unique to Wakefield. I think that Wakefield's sending out the message that we're no longer going to be a town that's dying. That's what we are. We are a community, and to stand in the background and watching the different members, they're all helping each other.
Catherine Knowles is one of the founder members of Created in Yorkshire.
I take a copy of a child's drawing. It could be a family portrait or their favourite place or a pet, anything, the wonderful pieces of artwork that the children do. And parents give them to me and I translate them directly onto fabric. So you end up with an embroidered version. Community for me is about having things in common with people, things that bring you together and things that you can share. So it doesn't have to be the community of people who live on your street. Many of us don't know our neighbours anymore, and certainly in our house we haven't lived in our town for very long, so we don't have a very tight local community. The three things that keep us are our school and church and Created in Yorkshire. Those are the parts of my life where I feel part of a bigger group. I think Wakefield is a wonderful place. It's got lots of promise. There's lots of regeneration in the city. And I think Wakefield is definitely back on the map.